Okay, before we begin today's video, I have some shoutouts to make, not individual ones because that would mean there are a lot of people, but rather I would like to make collective shoutouts, and I honestly misplaced a lot of the URLs. Odds are I made a Word document of it, and I forgot where I saved it, and it's not in my recent history anymore, so I'm thinking that I must have just, like, pasted them all together and then not saved it, period. So, I mean, if you kind of help me out with this whole full art thing that I've been trying to do in, like, the past week and a half or so, or if you gave me any Club Nintendo codes in the past week and a half, according to that Facebook post I made a while back, I'm still collecting both full art Pokemon and Club Nintendo codes, so if you do have them, send them in. Not necessarily the full arts, I guess. I mean, if you really want to send them in, you're not using them, go for it. But I mean, I will trade for the full arts. I will also potentially trade for the Club Nintendo codes depending on which codes they are. But yeah, I've had a lot of people help me out with those, so I just really wanted to say, wow, I am honestly in awe that I got as many as I did, and I really, really, really appreciate it. I'm sure we don't want to hear me rambling on about all that, so I guess just as a closing note on that, if you guys did do any of that, leave a comment and I'll put your URL in the description, and then I think we'll be all good. Just because I'm just so bad with names. I really am. I tried, and I just don't know what happened to that document. It's really embarrassing. Anyway, let's move on to the match, because this isn't really as embarrassing, but the one thing I'm trying to do here is, you guys are familiar with Fluffy Chomp. I've run this deck, and it just kind of grows exponentially, but the way to shut it off quickly is to get rid of the Gabites so they can't keep dragon calling for other dragons. So, as you can see, he's already pretty much worn down his hand, and then it turns out he Junipers, but he has to get rid of a Garchomp to do so, which is honestly not that bad. It just means that only one of those, or only 3 of those Garchomps, Gabites things, have the potential to grow up. So, the other thing I noticed is, you know, I took out 2 of them, meaning that we're probably only going to be dealing with one Garchomp this entire matchup, unless he Super Rods them back in and then just kind of starts from square one. But in 95% of the Fluffy Chomp matches I've had I kind of want to say 100. I just can't remember all of them. But yeah, I've never run into an opposing Mewtwo. This deck just doesn't have the room for DCEs and Mewtwo in it. Because in order to counter a Mewtwo, the best thing to do with it would be just to drop one and then drop a DCE. This deck does not have the luxury of room since you have to run the full Garchomp line. Most of them tend to run either Swablu's and Altarias, or they run Landorus's. So, but then it's not necessarily Fluffy Chomp. It's like Kitty Chomp instead. Oh, did I just make a name? I think I just made a name. That's kind of fun. What am I doing here? So, as you can see, he mock cut off one of those, DCEs off, so I need a way to, like, double my energy right now. So I figured the best thing to do, become that Gallade out for a Gardevoir, and now my psychic energies are in fact doubled, which kind of makes up for the fact that my DCE was gotten rid of on the last turn, just because the psychic energy I still attached from the turn before got doubled, and then the one I just put down got doubled as well. So the math adds up perfectly. I'm able to take out his Garchomp in one shot, and he kind of realizes that the game is over just because he's just sending in Altarias to die one after the other. And before you know it, Mewtwo just bowls over it, because that's what this deck does, honestly. You can either load up a Mewtwo, which is a little bit more this Pokemon and the defending Pokemon oriented, and then Gallade is just like, set up your own stuff and I'm going to work with it. So ideally, if you could just get, like, Gallade set up in the background and Mewtwo set up in the background, just have a Gallade going to town, that would work out. I think he might have gotten a heap section error on that, or his window closed off. I really couldn't tell you, but we're just gonna jump into the second one. These are not back to back to back. I had like 4 or 5 of them, and I was like, these are the best 3 examples. This one just kind of showing how Ninetales Amoonguss isn't really as much of a threat as some people seem to think it is. Some people do seem to think it's a threat. It's really not. It's a really cool deck idea, but it's so fragile. It's basically the same concept with Fluffy Chomp. Just get a Mewtwo, load up a DCE, and just get rid of the Ninetales. That's all you gotta do. The one thing I'm noticing right here in my hand is I have 2 Kirlias and I have a Gardevoir, and I can also call for family with Emolga in order to chorus, you know, for an actual good hand next turn or the turn after that. The thing I'm not banking on him having is going for an N on the first turn. And maybe that was a red flag that I had a plan just because of the fact that I'm actually calling with a DCE, that I'm that desperate to call that he's either A, going to go ahead and N because he doesn't have anything, or B, he's going to N to disrupt me. Or C, both. If it was C, that was fantastic for him because it just kind of makes that DCE on the Emolga really awkward and completely unnecessary. But I only put that down just on the off chance that I was going to get away with that play. I didn't, so whatever. Let's just put an energy on the Mewtwo. I'm going to go ahead and get a Skyla for a PCOM because I can just PCOM out this Ralts. I can get it with a Call for Family on the next turn, so it's not that, or at the end of my turn, so it's not that big a deal. I'm looking to turn 2 Gardevoir, which is ideal, and honestly, I don't get away with this that often. I usually just don't come into a hand that often, but ever since I just took out the level balls and put PCOMs, like a third of the cards in this deck are Pokemon. So if you have a PCOM and a Pokemon in your hand, odds are if it's not the one you need, you can just swap out. It's got a lot of Pokemon in this deck, but fortunately they all use the same line, so you're just kind of going for stuff. But he is going to, I believe, Bright Look into my either Mewtwo or Gardevoir. I think he's looking to Bright Look into my Gardevoir just because I'm going to have to put down a Psychic Energy to retreat it. I'm kind of glad that he ended here so I don't have to use up a resource. I was going to Colress and get the same amount of cards anyway. He just gets more basics down, and it makes it even easier for me to Colress. I get 2 more cards off of that because it turns out I get a Colress on the next turn anyway. Colress is a great card in this deck just because you run the 4 Ralts lines. More likely than not, you'll have an Emolga on the field still, just like remaining from the first couple turns, and then maybe 1 or 2 Mewtwo's. Results may vary on that, but like 8 out of 10 times you're going to have a loaded bench, so you're guaranteed at least 6 cards plus what the opponent has on their side. You're guaranteed at least 7 cards off of a Colress if you play this right. And so far, like, this is a fun deck to take to League. This is not like tier 1 or tier 2. It's not really anything super fantastic, but it's aggressive. It's not necessarily quick, but the build-up is exponential, and it's more or less steady once you can get the Gardevoirs up and the Rescue Scarfs on them, then you're not going to have that much of a delay. The line I run, I think I run 4-1 and then 3-3 on Gallade and Gardevoir. I used to run 2-2, and then Nick's like, why don't you run 3-3? And I was like, because I only got 4 basics. And then it's like, oh, you know what? I can just discard the ones I don't need, or I don't know. It's been working a lot better since I put 3-3, although there's only 4 basics and 6 stage 2s. It makes it a lot easier to hit them in case, you know, one of them happen to be prized or whatever. It's happened a lot, and it's not as much of a problem anymore. But I'm kind of not talking about what's going on the screen, just for varying reasons. I really couldn't tell you. That DCE counts for 40 damage on the Gallade. The Psychic Energy on the Gardevoir counts for 40, and the Psychic Energy on the Mewtwo counts for 40, so that's 120, and then the double colorless on Emolga counts for another 40, so that's 160 with Powerful Storm, and that's only with 4 turns of attaching. There's no acceleration going on with this deck. The thing you see there is he just gets off the Hexed Flame with the Amoonguss and the Bright Look, and you guys know how this works. I've run this deck before. I used to run it in real life, and then I just kind of got tired of it because it kept going down to big basics way too quickly. I could never draw right, and it was just so discouraging. But right here, I have some energy options, so I figure, let's just drop another one on the Mewtwo, and then I kind of changed my mind. I was like, maybe I want to put one on the Ralts or the Kirlia on the off chance I can get another Gallade going. I don't know if I want to start building up that Mewtwo that much, but it's like, I go for the Colress, and I draw, like, nothing off of it, which kind of sucks, but I'm just going to go for the Powerful Storm, get another 160 off, and honestly, once the Ninetales are gone from this deck, that's it. That's it. You just get rid of those, and then Amoonguss does nothing. It is just there for status effects. Ninetales is the main attacker. It's the same with Garchomp. Once you get rid of the Garchomp, it's fine. The only thing is it's easier with Ninetales because of the lower HP count. But at the amount of energy I'm at with Powerful Storm, it doesn't really make a difference whether it's Ninetales or Garchomp. The only difference it would have made probably in the first turn is that he would have been able to Mach Cut quicker. and he would have had Alterias and stuff potentially, and he would have just gotten rid of the DCE, but I could have just put down a Psychic Energy, would have done the same thing, and I still would have kept it. So, especially with this hand, like I got 3 Psychic Energies, 3 Psychics, 2 DCEs. So, he is going to finish this thing off just because he does have a Veer Bank in play. I think that combo ordinarily would do 130, but because of Veer Bank it does 150, and I think Gallade's got 140 HP. So the only way I'd be able to live that is if I had a Giant Cape. I don't. That's okay. What am I doing here? I think... Okay, so I did top deck a Rare Candy, so I get to get another Gardevoir into play, but I don't have another attacker besides Mewtwo. So the thing I'm thinking I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put a DCE on Kirlia and hope I get a Gallade, and it turns out I top deck one, which is not too shabby. Get to put a Rescue Scarf on it, so I get to keep it, and we'll just Powerful Storm again. And would you look at his side of the field, there is a surprising absence of Ninetales, meaning he's going to have to promote one of these useless pieces of garbage. Not actually garbage, though, not Garbodors or Trubbishes. No, it's just a Fungus, and the best thing you can do is coin flip for the Call for Family, or Find a Friend. Find a Friend, that's what it is. Every time I think of that card, I think of Regis Philbin, just because it's like Phone a Friend, but no, it's Find a Friend, and it's, if you get heads, you get to Pokemon, you get to get a Pokemon out of your deck. So right here is just stalling for time. I find it really interesting that he runs Catchers and Ninetales. I always found that redundant. And, I mean, if you want to run Super Scoop-Ups, you can use the Ninetales ability even more on the turns after. But I guess if you need to catch or something, you need to catch or something in that instant. So I don't know what his build is or how many of them he runs, but it was still, I guess, more or less interesting to see. So the fact that Gardevoir's doubling just kind of counts for its, I don't know, just for the Psychic Energy, just because the retreat cost is 2. So if you put a Psychic Energy on it, you technically only need 1 to retreat. So I'm never really stuck unless it's against, like, Garbodor. And I stopped running Tool Scrappers in this deck just because I stopped running into them in February. But they're really popular now. So I should maybe consider putting 1 or 2 back in here. I don't know what I take out. If I'm running 2 Emolgas, I think I might go back down to 1. And I don't know. Like, this is just such a tight knit deck already that I'm scared to take out cards for Tool Scrapper at the fear of losing consistency in here. He does get to get a Vulpix out, but whether or not he has that Ninetales, I'm not 100% on that. I think it might be Prize, because I think we have a big stall in time here. He goes for, okay, so he goes for the Amoonguss, and if I'm not mistaken, he takes forever and a day to figure out that he's going to use the Dowsing Machine. No, that's not on this turn. Is it the next one? I think it's the next one. Sorry, I have coffee. I'm like narrating this at like 9 in the morning. It's a good start to my day. I mean, I took these games yesterday, and I was like, I don't like the narration I did from yesterday. I figure it'll be a little more casual once I don't have anything to worry about. I had a lot of stuff to take care of yesterday. So I went and took care of it, and then I was just like, let's do it again. It'll be a little more chillaxed, you know what I'm saying? I also have League tonight, too, so that's fun. I don't really know what else to talk about. I'm just gonna wait for him to do his Dowsing Machine thing. I think I have another deck I can try out. It's a Funsies deck I made. It's just got Manaphy with the accelerating, but I don't have Beartic in it anymore. I figured I would just opt for like a damage spreading kind of thing. So, I mean, if you guys would like to see that, that's kind of cool. Other than that, whatever. I don't know. So he finally Dowsing Machines for a level ball. I'm not a huge fan of this, but okay, I mean, he tries to level ball for a Ninetales on the off chance he might have one, and it turns out that it's either a prized or I honestly think it's just prized. I think that's the only reasoning behind that. So, doesn't get anything off of that. He also runs Bicycle in there. I'm kind of wondering what he had to sacrifice in order to make that happen. But I'm just going to retreat with the Psychic Energy into Mewtwo just to not be confused and poisoned. And I might as well just go for the X-Ball to knock it out. And at this point, he has nothing left. I got an N off of that, which is completely useless. That is the one card I don't want right now. But to be honest, I'm in a good spot. Like, if he tries to take out my Mewtwo with the Confusion and the Poison, I just got to pay the 1 Psychic Energy retreat cost to get out of there. go into Gallade and then just kind of finish it off from there. So the one thing I am worried about right here is not hitting a Psychic Energy. I do have a couple on the field. What do I have? I have 2 on Mewtwo. Let me see. So that means I have 3 in the discard pile, which means I have 4 left in my deck. So I can super ride those back in if I want to, and then N out, and then hope with that 1 card I can hit a Psychic Energy, because otherwise I'm just kind of stuck right here. But honestly, he can't do anything to me if I can get that Gardevoir out of there. And it turns out that all that worrying was for nothing, because I just end up top decking one anyway, and yeah. Otherwise, that would have been my main plan right there. But Powerful Storm, gonna knock him out and just take my second Mewtwo. So I don't know whether or not I should add another Mewtwo to this deck, but I feel like 2's fine. I feel like any more and it just kind of becomes a liability, just because you're putting that many more EXs in your deck and you got to look out for them. So in this scenario, it makes it so you have to knock out 2 Mewtwo's and 2 other Pokemon, which I kind of have a problem with when it comes to Ralts anyway. 60 HP is a dangerously low number to be fooling around with in this format. And you have to get them up fairly quickly, too. I mean, I have the means to, but it might not be as quick as some other decks like Fluffy Chomp. It's not as self-sufficient. But I get my second Mewtwo off of the draw there. And it turns out this is just going to straight up be Mewtwo Laser Warfare. I think he also has a Veer Bank right here. No, I don't think he has a Veer Bank, come to think of it. So he X-Balls. It's going to be a 2-hit KO, which kind of scares me that he threatens 2 prizes on turn 2, which is just like, how do you even do that? That's scary. So I decide I'm just going to end up sacking that main one. I hate being at a deficit right now, but I can end next turn and give him less cards, so I might as well do that. But I'm P-comming in order to get my Waltz lines out, if I'm not mistaken, get something built up just in case I have to throw something in the way. And I figure I'm just going to catch up Zekrom to stall for a little bit of time. If he wants to get out of there, he's going to have a switch or a DCE. The one thing I am noticing is he did put down a Keldeo, and this is a very interesting deck build in that he's running water and electric, and I think he's also running some other weird stuff in here too. He's gonna end up Junipering because he doesn't like any of that stuff, and I think he hits the switch on this one, but he puts down another Mewtwo, letting me know, hey, you're not going to win this Mewtwo war, you'd better have something else in mind. So he hits the switch and decides to take out my Mewtwo. This is kind of bad just because if I have a second Mewtwo, I mean, I am loading up that one, but the instant I knock out one of his, it'll get revenge killed, which is just like, oh shit, I don't know what to do about that. I can Rare Candy into Gallade right there, and that's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to leave that Ralton to die. I got nothing better I can do. And the other thing you're probably noticing in my hand right here is the Painful Juniper and 2 Rare Candies in my hand. I absolutely hate to discard 2 Rare Candies like that, but I'm going to lose this match if I don't. I don't have another choice, and I think the X-Ball right here is actually going to be like 10 short of knocking me out, which is nice. So it turns out that I actually top deck a Gardevoir and I only have to discard one of them, so that's beautiful. I love that. Something I get to do here, I get to put down a DCE on Gallade, and I believe I'm just going to go for the knockout on this Mewtwo. I'm trying to see if there's another ideal play, but there really isn't. I'm just going to go with that. So he's going to bring in his other Mewtwo probably right now, or his Kyurem. Oh, that's right, he brings in his Kyurem because he's only got 10 HP left. You figure he's going to threaten the Ralts and the Emolga on the bench with Glaciates and stuff, but he got a second energy, which means he can Outrage for 20. That is the base damage, and since I only have 10 HP left, he can just do that and get this thing ready to start threatening me out next turn. So plays I can make right here. I can Rare Candy my Ralts into either a Gallade or a Gardevoir. I decide a backup Gardevoir is going to be nice, or... Oh, right here. I tried P-comming for another Ralts, and I guess I miscounted somewhere along the way. I thought I had 4, and then I think one ended up dying to that Mewtwo. Or I think he captured it in, so it actually didn't die. I don't know. I feel like I lost count somewhere along the way. But I got 2 Gallades and a Gardevoir out right now. And I don't really have anything else. I was going to Skyla for a Rare Candy, but I top decked the Rare Candy, so I didn't need to do that. I think that might have been my last one, too. I'm trying to do the math here and trying to figure out how many psychic energy I need on the field in order to knock out Mewtwo with Powerful Storm. It turns out that I'm not going to have enough even with the doubling right now, because there's going to be 20-40 with the double colorless, 60-80 with the doubled psychic, times 2. And because of Mewtwo's weakness will be 160, and Mewtwo's got 170 HP, so I'm not going to be able to pull that off. I can pull it off next turn if I have a catcher, which I do in hand. It's very nice. I'm confused as to why he decided to bring in his Kyurem instead of his Mewtwo, because if he knocked out both my Gallades like that, he honestly would have had it right there. I don't know what he was waiting for on that one, but I guess he just decides glaciating is going to be the quickest way to get those 2 prizes, even though X-balling would have had the same effect. So he does get the heads on the laser. I'm not bothered by this because I do have the switch in hand. And he also gets the tails on the wake up. Would have been devastating if I did not have the switch in hand, but Emolga is nice for the free treat, so I get to put down another energy. I do have all the cards I need in hand. I'm ready to go. So I got a switch to get rid of the poison and the sleep. I have the catcher to bring in the Mewtwo, and I have the Colress to give myself a fresh hand for next turn. I'm also going to Super Rod back in those 2 Mewtwo's and a Psychic Energy just to be ready for his Kyurem. So I'm going to retreat, go for the Powerful Storm right now, and now that there is not a Mewtwo on his side of the field, I feel pretty good about this. I think I could have this, so I'm going to go for a Powerful Storm, get rid of it, and I believe I just need to knock out one more EX. In case we're not keeping track, I can only do, let me see, that's 40, 80, 120. If I put a DCE down next turn, it'll be 160, which falls 20 short of knocking out an EX, barring the Keldeo that I actually damaged on the turn prior. So I can either put down a DCE or a Psychic Energy. They'll both do the same thing. I just have DCE in this deck just to be able to start attacking before Gardevoir is out. It's not a bad idea just for me to anyway, but I just computer search and bring up the Keldeo for my final 2 prizes. So it was an interesting deck build. Kind of worked out for him. The whole Prism and Plasma Energy was really interesting. I'm kind of wondering what he hoped to accomplish with that. The one thing I've noticed lately, I don't know why, but Lost World has actually been picking up a little bit of steam. I've had people ask me for deck lists and PMs and stuff. I had a guy wanting to play it the other day, and it's just really interesting. So I guess if you guys want me to go back to Heart Gold, Soul Silver for a little bit and play that for a bit, I still have all the original cards for it. Those are like the only primes I haven't traded off just because I have so much fun with that deck. I don't know, that could be an option in the near future before we move on to Plasma Freeze. But for now, this is kind of scary right here. The fact that he has a Landorus and he is going... I don't know why he plus powered right there. That's kind of interesting, but not really. I'm going to just attach a Psychic Energy and call for family. I'm hoping that he'll be tempted to attack the Mewtwo instead of the Ralt, so that way he can set it up for a knockout if he decides to blow himself up with the Big Lance Judgment. Otherwise, he just takes a prize right now on the Ralts. But fortunately, he does in fact go for the Mewtwo to set that up for later, meaning that I can rare candy into either Gallade or a Gardevoir. I decide to rare candy into the Gardevoir because that is going to be more important for now. I can just put the DCE on Mewtwo and then just kind of go from there on the turn after that. And I don't know why I set down that second Emolga. That's kind of a little oversight right there. I can at least call for family to get another Ralts out. In hindsight, that Emolga probably should have been my second Mewtwo, but honestly, I'll just hit it when I hit it. That's fine for now. I'd like to get these lines set up while he's still targeting my Mewtwo. But I get to put down a Psychic Energy, and I also get to Colress for 6, which is not too shabby. Gonna put a Rescue Scarf on my Gardevoir in case it ends up, getting taken out owing to, like, a Big Lance Judgment, which I think is at the magic number that he can do. All he has to do is catcher it up and just get another energy down. Now, I think it's either on this turn or the next turn that something kind of interesting happens, in that he decides not to put that energy on Landorus, and he just decides to keep hammerheading. On the previous turn, I probably should have switched in Mewtwo and started X-balling, because now I set it up for a Little Lance Judgment for him to knock me out. But I figure I might as well go in with this thing, because if I don't hit him, he will probably end up capturing me, and I'll just end up losing this thing. At least with 2 double colorlesses and 2 fighting energies reduced by the Eviolite, it goes down to a 2-hit KO, which is nice. I'm also kind of wondering what else I'm going to do here. If he wants, he can still take either one prize on this turn by hammerheading my Emolga and knocking it out because the resistance is gone on the bench, or he can take two if he has an energy in hand. And I'm thinking the reason for the slowness right here is that he does not have another energy in hand, and he's going to be forced to hammerhead. So he just takes the Emolga prize, but I will be able to take two prizes here just for knocking out the Landorus, which is not too shabby. Just going to X-Ball right here. I don't have anything in hand. I'm kind of hoping I get a supporter off of these prizes. I don't. The other cool thing, I guess, is that I get a Rare Candy and a Gardevoir, because I know Darkrai is going to be pretty nasty. I'm going to want some insurance against it, just because I need my Psychic Energy just doubled at all times. So he gets an N off. I unfortunately do not get to Rare Candy, but I get a Computer Search right here. I don't know how useful that's going to end up being overall. I'm like 90% sure I use it. I just don't remember on what. So I'm going to Computer Search right here. I believe I'm going for a Gallade, if I'm not mistaken, or I think I'm getting a Juniper off of this. So I'm going to get rid of the N and the communication. It doesn't really matter because I'm going for a Juniper. These cards are going to get discarded anyway. I guess I was kind of hesitating, like, do I really need to get a Juniper? I probably should have gotten a Colress, just because I would have drawn 1, 2, 3, 4, what is that, 5? I would have drawn 2 less, but I would have kept the Rare Candy. So right here, I'm just going to, I believe, put the Rescue Scarf on. What is taken? I put that on my Mewtwo for some reason. I don't really understand why. Capturing that thing in was kind of silly, just because it doesn't have free treat, but it forces him to attach to that one instead of the. If he wants to attach to the bench one, he'll have to have a switch. If he wants to attach to the active one, he can retreat it, but he won't be able to attack. So it bought me a turn, which is honestly the turn I needed, because I get to Skylar right now for my last Rare Candy and finally get a Gallade up, which is nice. It took me a little while, but Gallade is looking pretty good on the energy counts. I think I can hit for 200 if I can bring my Gallade in. The one thing that is or if I can bring it in with a switch, let me be clear on that. So I can retreat this Mewtwo out right now in order to get the knockout on that active Darkrai. But my Powerful Storm will go down to, what is that? I think it's like 140. It's 140 after the resistance, because it would have been 160 thanks to the DCE, the 2 Psychic Energies on Gallade, and the 1 on Ralts thanks to those doubling. We're sitting at 160. So I cannot get knocked out by a Nox Spear. I cannot get knocked out by a Night Spear in one shot from Darkrai, which is actually pretty cool. Gallade's going to be a nice steady 2-hit KO on it. I could also catch her in the Landorus to buy me a little bit of time. But it turns out he's going to go ahead and catch her in my Mewtwo, and I believe knock this out with a Night Spear. So I lost one off of the Colressing, but that's overall okay, because I've still got a handle on this game for the most part. Landorus needs 2 more energy to go for the Big Lance Judgment, and Darkrai cannot one-shot me unless he has a Dark Claw or a Veer Bank. I have not seen either of those. Top deck, I believe a Mewtwo right there, so that was kind of cool. I also get, where did I get that other Rare Candy from? Was that from prizes? I'm pretty sure I did not have that other Rare Candy in my deck. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. I don't know. I get another Gallade up, so that's cool. I also get another Psychic Energy in play. I'm trying to think about what I'm going to attach it to. I figure Mewtwo is a nice call on that, just so I can be able to X-Ball in case I need to, and it's also just a good thing to put energy on. Powerful Storm falls 20 short of taking him out, but he can retreat right now if he really wants to, just to get out of there and preserve himself the game. The one thing he has to bank on is me not having an energy right now, because if I do have an energy, which, spoilers I do, ladies and gentlemen, the damage from Powerful Storm will go up from 160 to 200, but factoring in resistance, it'll go up from 140 to 180, and he just decides to unload his hand. Just basically show me what he's got going on there. Also Dark Patching onto the other Darkrai just to get another one ready just in case. And he's also going to Bianca for some extra cards, which is not too shabby. But right now, he does not take me out with the Night Spear. He falls 10 short. Gallade is a manly man. But because he attacked and he did not end me, I do have that last energy in hand, meaning that I will get an even knockout on this Darkrai for my final 2 prizes. And he fails to get a knockout on this turn as well. So that's the game, honestly. Just going to put that down on that and then just go for Powerful Storm, which is an even knockout, and I believe he scoops before I even get the chance to take my prizes. So I've done that before. That's okay. But I think that was all 3 games. So yeah, I don't know whether or not I'll be playing this deck in the near future. I probably will once I get some secret rare Gardevoirs going on in this. I forget what set those are from. I have not actually pulled one at all, which kind of surprises me. I pulled countless other EXs, but like as for pulling secret rares, I'm kind of bad at those for the most part. Other than that, I think that'll do it for this deck video DCGO thing. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you're more than welcome to leave a like, rating, comment, and subscribe and do your thing. I would like to thank the people that are helping me out with the cards and the Club Nintendo codes once again. Please leave me your URLs / what you would like to be called, and I will go ahead and address that more thoroughly in the next video, because like I mentioned countless times, I'm bad with names, I'm bad with actual factoids and stuff, so I need to have it written down in front of me, and then I do good. Anyways, let me see. I think the new set comes out next Sunday is the pre-release for it, so I'm gonna end up going to that. I might have TCGO codes depending on how many people there play TCGO, and I'm just gonna try to maybe collect them from those people. But yeah, I'll probably have a couple of pack openings possibly, depending on when that set comes out. Otherwise, you know, I'll just end up getting codes. Possible pack opening next week. It just really depends on how many people get boxes and then get back to me on codes. Other than that, I'll make decks next week, and then we'll just kind of go from there. So we'll see you guys then.